Welcome to day 4. This is the reclamation. Choosing yourself is the most sacred revolution. Tonight, beloved, is about remembering that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's how you stay in alignment with God. We're going to talk about boundaries, not as walls that shut people out, but as the framework that lets love flow freely. You'll learn the difference between boundaries built from fear and boundaries rooted in love. You'll practice speaking your holy yes and sacred no in ways your body can believe. Together, we'll breathe through guilt, release performance, and remember that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from presence. By the end of tonight, you'll feel what it means to honor yourself as an act of devotion, not defiance. The sacred yes and holy no. Tonight is about self respect as divine law. And I invite you to breathe that in. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out through your mouth. Let's do that again. We're going to inhale peace and exhale pressure. One more time. Inhale peace and exhale pressure. We've journeyed together through revelation, remembering what's true, and now we step into reclamation. This is about self respect as divine law. As we begin, look around you, or even you can see in the chat or in the women who are in this room. Notice that you're not alone. There are women across time and space who are literally breathing with you right now, each reclaiming her sacred yes and no. This is what sanctuary feels like, a space where we rest without proving, a space where the soul exhales. So let's talk about what reclamation really means. And please let me know in the chat if you can hear any background noise. I have family over and, the kids. So just let me know if you can hear them and I'll take care of that. Reclamation isn't about taking something back by force. This is important to understand. It's about remembering what was never truly lost, only forgotten. Breathe. Because when you reclaim yourself, you're not fighting to become worthy. You are remembering what you already are. See, survival, as we talked about in day 1, teaches us that power meant control, that if you don't hold it all together, that everything will fall apart. But divine law, as we learned, as we remembered yesterday, teaches something different. Power isn't control. Power is in your alignment. So that's when your body, mind, and spirit are on one accord. We call it coherence. And it is the still point in the storm, the part of you that doesn't need to prove or perform or persuade. And you can breathe that in. You can breathe in, you can inhale to release control and exhale to return to alignment. Because that's what reclamation really means. It means that you stop outsourcing your value. You stop waiting for someone else to confirm what God already declared. It is a return to yourself, to your source, to your design. So every time you stop chasing or fixing or proving, you are reclaiming energy that was never meant to be spent that way. The world has taught us that we had to earn rest, but reclamation teaches you that rest, that alignment, that emotional honesty, that's your right. It's your birthright. Hold on. I'm going to flip too fast. But just breathe. Take that in. In the still point of the storm, the part of you that doesn't need to prove or perform or persuade, that means that you are allowed to be exactly who you are. See, the world taught you that love was conditional, but reclamation reminds you that love is your inheritance. You've never had to earn love. And see, for many of us, the first act of reclamation looked like rebellion, saying no, walking away, cutting ties. And sometimes that was holy. It was necessary to break free from survival's law. Because if we're operating out of survival, that means that our relationships are based on fear. They're transactional, they're fear partnerships. They're relationships that require us to do a dance, to put on a mask, to live by the cape. But true reclamation goes deeper. It's not just about separating from what harmed you, it's about reuniting with what's holy within you. Choosing yourself, it's not rebellion, it's reverence. And reverence for the breath in your body, the truth in your bones, the God that lives in your boundaries. So practice now. Place your hand over your heart and whisper to yourself softly, choosing myself honors God within me. Breathe in, I honor myself. And exhale, I honor God through me. Again, inhale, I honor myself. Exhale, I honor God through me. See, we are reclaiming and we're not doing it alone. Because every time one woman chooses peace over performance, she opens the door for another to walk through. This is why we're here, and this is why community matters. It's how we remember that wholeness is who we are. It's how we remember what wholeness feels like together. So when you see a woman set a boundary, rest without guilt, or tell the truth without apology, she's not just doing it for herself. She's reminding the whole of us that it's possible. This is what it looks like. And you can inhale. We rise together. And exhale. We are already home because we are. This is the revolution. Because for Black women, reclamation is a revolution of truth. Because our silence once kept us safe. Our sacrifice once kept families alive, and our self betrayal once bought us belonging. But now the survival laws, they have expired. We are no longer living by the contracts written in fear. We are writing new ones in faith. And if you're ready to embody your faith, put faith in the chat. Because every time you speak what your grandmother could not, every time you rest without guilt, every time you choose peace over performance, you're not just healing yourself, you are remembering a lineage. You're gathering the scattered pieces of God within you and saying, I remember now. Oh, I remember now. And inhale now. I reclaim my voice. Breathe that in. Let your body feel safety in reclaiming your voice. Inhale, I reclaim my voice. And exhale, I return to myself. Reclamation, as we are remembering, is to put yourself back together in God's order. You're not just reclaiming boundaries as rest, you're reclaiming your divinity. Every piece of you that was shamed or silenced or suppressed is still sacred. And when you call all those pieces home, when you love them back into alignment, then you remember what God looks like through you in your body, with your experiences, with your truth, with your power. Reclamation is remembering that you were never meant to earn worth. You are worth embodied. You are the image of the divine returning to wholeness after centuries of fragmentation. Pause. Place your hand over your heart and inhale. I remember. And exhale. I am whole. Inhale. I remember. Exhale. I am whole. Notice what it feels like to truly embody that sense of being whole. Notice what it feels like. Notice what comes up. Because there's nothing wrong, there's nothing to fix. You're teaching your body to feel safe in wholeness because wholeness is your holiness. So now let's talk about the myth of selfishness. And if there's ever been a part of you that still wonders, am I being selfish? That whisper didn't start with you. It's a script written in your nervous system, taught by survival, rehearsed by generations of women who were praised for disappearing. Today, as we breathe, we are releasing that lie. Inhale, I hear you. And exhale, I release the lie. Inhale, I hear you. And exhale, I release the lie. Because that's the lie of trauma. So, where did the lie begin? What do you think? You let me know in the chat. Where did it begin? Well, we learned it. Somewhere along the way, we learned that holiness meant hardship. Put hard in the chat. That if you got to struggle, if you got to earn, you got to prove, that's how it's supposed to go. That being a good woman meant being a giving one, even when there was nothing left to give. We were told that God loves sacrifice more than sincerity. That love meant staying, serving, shrinking, smiling through pain. So we called depletion loyalty. Did we not? Radada. We call exhaustion faith. We call silence strength. And we began to believe that choosing ourselves was betrayal of family, of community, of God. It's a lie. Inhale, I release shame. Exhale, I return to truth. Again, inhale, I release shame. Exhale, I return to truth. Remember, breathing is the remote control for your nervous system. The more that you intentionally breathe, the more that you allow that trauma, the emotions, the fear, the survival to be processed through your body. So you're no longer holding it in. And for us, we are carrying generations of survival, of pain, of disappearing, striving, being the superwoman. And this is why we breathe for our ancestors who could not. Self-honoring versus selfishness. Here's what divine law teaches you. You cannot dishonor God by honoring what God created. Do you hear me? You cannot dishonor God by honoring what God created, which is you. The world calls it selfish because they benefit. Heaven calls it sacred. Selfishness says, I matter more than you. What does self-honoring say? What does it say in the chat? I mean, what does it say? Let me know in the chat. What does self-honoring mean to you? It's so interesting how a topic like self-honoring and sacred boundaries can feel a little heavy. And that's only because the audience is Black women, because of everything that we've been taught and conditioned. Not because it is heavy, not because it's untrue, but because we're dismantling all of the lies that served others. Because self-honoring says, I matter too. Exactly, Michelle. Thank you, Velma, loving yourself. Selfishness takes from love, but self-honoring restores balance to love. Can you feel the difference? Put love in the chat if you can recognize the difference between selfishness and self-honoring. Because when you choose yourself with reverence, you do not take from others. You teach others what love is, what love requires to remain whole. It is not true that boundaries are selfish. That's a story that people spin if they're interested in power or control, if they want to take without giving. When you choose yourself with reverence, you do not take from others, you teach others what love requires to remain whole. You teach them not just how you want to be treated, but what love requires to remain whole. Inhale, I am sacred. Exhale, I am balanced. And this is not just an affirmation, this is what is true. And when you breathe with the truth, then you can begin to feel God, to hear God, to heal that sacred connection. Inhale, I am sacred, and exhale, I am balanced. Let's talk about the nervous system of guilt, honey. Because guilt, oh, put guilt in the chat if you've ever felt guilty setting a boundary. See, guilt isn't always truth. It usually isn't. Sometimes it's just the body remembering a rule that no longer applies. And what I have found in my own healing and as being a therapist, that oftentimes we feel guilty because this part of us has learned that love requires sacrifice, love requires self abandonment. And so we develop a part within us that says, oh, no, you can't say no. Oh, no, you must keep working. You must keep giving. And oftentimes we will give in to others not out of love, but to avoid our own shame, to avoid that voice in our head that's critical, that's judgmental, to avoid feeling our own guilt. And we can be honest about that with compassion and love because it's just survival. It's not true. So when you start saying no, your body might panic. This is why we breathe. It might feel unsafe because it's been trained to equate peace with danger and performance with safety. This is why we breathe. So that trembling, that guilt, that urge to over explain or people please or perform or tap dance or walk on eggshells, that is not God correcting you. That is survival protesting freedom. Breathe through it. Let the guilt rise and fall without obeying it. The guilt is an echo, it can't harm you. You're safe. You are divine. So every time you hold your boundary with compassion, your nervous system learns a new law. I am safe in truth. Put safe in the chat. If you can recognize, we don't have to fear our feelings. Those are echoes from trauma. Your feelings are valid. But we also don't have to betray ourselves in order to avoid our pain. See, self respect is service. Choosing yourself is not abandoning others, it's a return to integrity. See, people, they will love to spin, oh, you need to be submissive, you need to be feminine, fit, and friendly. Oh, you need to be all of these things that they are not. But integrity, that is whole. That is your holiness. Because when you betray yourself to keep the peace, you don't actually give peace, you give performance. It's a tap dance, it's a role. It's not love. And I've done it. I know. This is why I can teach this because I've lived it. And I know I never became more peaceful when I was pretending to be okay, pretending to be good, pretending to be fine, pretending to be unbothered. You don't give yourself peace or anyone else because performance cannot heal what only presence can. True service doesn't come from depletion, it comes from overflow. It comes from the woman who knows her worth, honors her limits, and gives from alignment, not obligation. Duty, obligation. We've been taught that's love, but it's not. Especially when parts of you are in conflict or denial or giving when you really don't want to give, when you're tired, when you don't have it, when it's not reciprocated. That's not love. That's obligation. So inhale with me now. Inhale, I give from overflow. And exhale, I rest in truth. Inhale, I give from overflow. Exhale, I rest in truth. Just notice your body. See, our mothers and grandmothers didn't have the luxury. Many of them survived by self erasure. Their yes was currency, their bodies, the price. But we are the generation reclaiming what they prayed we'd find, the courage to say, my body is not a battlefield. You do not own me. My love is not a resource to exploit, and my peace is not negotiable. So every time you honor yourself, you break a generational contract with suffering and sign a new one with God. This is the real work of love, not of fear. Breathe in. I honor my lineage. And exhale. I set them free. Inhale. I honor my lineage. Exhale. I set them free. And you set them free when you know your worth, when you know that your love is not currency, your love is not a resource to exploit, your peace is not negotiable. That's divine order. Exactly. Put honor myself. Thank you, Althea. Because this is the truth of love. The truth is, love expands when you do. When you respect your limits, your love becomes cleaner. When you rest, your presence deepens. When you tell the truth, your connections strengthen. That is not selfish. That is sacred alignment. This is what divine law looks like in motion. You do not need to prove that you're not selfish. You only need to remember that you are love learning how to honor itself. You are love learning how to honor itself. Because I know everything that you've given it because you thought that it was love, because you are love, because you wanted to be love, because you wanted to give love, because you wanted to be love. But now you're remembering that you are love, honoring itself. Pause, hand over heart, whisper softly. I am love, remembering how to rest. Inhale, I honor myself. Exhale, I honor God through me. Inhale, I honor myself. Exhale, I honor God through me. This is the revolution inside reclamation when Black women learn that self honoring is holy. The systems built on our exhaustion, they begin to crumble. And from their ruins, we rise, rested, respected, and remembered. Oh, and they know it too. It's like everybody knows how powerful we are, except us sometimes. Oh, but that's all changing now because you remember that you are love, learning how to honor itself. So let's talk about these spirit led boundaries. And I know how real this truth is. And so I invite you to just settle your nervous system. And if you need to, place your hand over your heart because that signals we're safe, we're good. And let's explore the boundaries that hold your peace. Because, see, boundaries are sacred geometry. Let me explain. In divine law, everything has order. Planets stay in orbit. River flows their banks. Seasons honor their time. Boundaries are how love keeps its rhythm in you. Think of them as sacred geometry, lines that give shape to the flow of your life. Because without them, love spills everywhere and loses its power. We've seen it, we've done it. We've done it. We've seen the results of giving and giving and giving, and people take and they don't appreciate, they exploit, they ignore, they become inconsiderate. They oftentimes, we might say, take your kindness for weakness. And so what happens? You build walls. And oftentimes we don't recognize that love can't come in because love doesn't come out. And your capacity to be in a relationship to the divine within becomes distorted. But with boundaries, love gathers, it deepens, it nourishes. Do we not feel empowered when we have boundaries, when we honor our own boundaries? When we have limits, when we remember our value, your relationship to life changes. Your relationship to others, your confidence, your identity, your perception, relationships you enter. Is it loud? Can y'all hear the background? Let me know because I don't think y'all told me in the chat. Just breathe. Breathe. Inhale. I am aligned. Exhale. I am contained. Inhale. I am aligned. Exhale. I am contained. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the architecture of peace. They tell creation where your sacred ground begins and where distortion must end. Because if you understand divine law, if you do not honor yourself, you will continue to attract people, places, and circumstances that do not honor you. And it's not because you don't deserve honoring, it's because the law reflects who you are and not what you want. Your self honoring is everything because you are everything. Put love in the chat if you can remember the power of love led boundaries or spirit led boundaries. Fear. See, fear led boundaries when we're operating trauma and operating out of trauma and survival. Fear led boundaries sound like walls. I cannot trust anyone. I am done with people. I can't depend on nobody. Spirit led boundaries sound like clarity. I can love you and still choose peace. How does that feel? What kind of thoughts do you think? You said my baby shut the door. Thank you. Fear led boundaries sound like walls. When you think about, I can't trust anyone, how does that feel? Can you now begin to notice the contraction, your nervous system? It's like you're feeling on guard, you're armored up. Can you feel that? Put yes in the chat. That's how you know the activation is much more than what you think, it's embodied. But when I say, I can love you and still choose peace, what do you notice about your body, how you feel, your relationship to power? Do you feel like you're divine? Because the divine still can love and sets boundaries. I can be compassionate with myself without abandoning myself. How does that feel? What do you notice? Because that's you being in relationship with you, recognizing the activation. We've been activated for a lifetime. So we may not, it's normal. It's just how we be. But fear-led boundaries contracts from pain and the other expands through wisdom. Fear defends, spirit defines. Say it with me. Fear defends, spirit defines. When your boundaries come from spirit, you don't have to over explain. Your energy speaks for you. People feel the peace in your no and the truth in your yes. Breathe it in. Inhale, peace in my yes. Exhale, clarity in my no. Again, breathe in, peace in my yes. And exhale, clarity in my no. Let's practice now. A sacred yes and holy no. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly, and inhale slowly. Say to yourself silently, yes to truth. And as you exhale, say softly, no to distortion. Again, inhale, yes to truth. Exhale, no to distortion. Again, inhale, yes to truth. Exhale, no to distortion. Again, inhale, yes to alignment. Exhale, no to performance. Feel your body respond. The nervous system relaxes when truth is spoken. That calm is your confirmation that you are aligned. Are you with me? Boundaries are how love learns discipline. They are the way heaven takes shape in human form. They remind you, I can be open and still protected. I need y'all to say that with me because as a superwoman, honey, we like close everything up, shut it down. I don't play. I'm not going to play. We not playing the radio. Don't play with me. But you can be open and still protected. I can be kind and still clear. I can be loving and still sovereign. Put free in the chat because you can be loving and still sovereign. You can be open and still protected. This is spirit led boundaries, keeping not a defense against life, but a declaration of wholeness within it. When you set boundaries that are spirit led, you do not defend against life. We are not here to be in survival and to struggle and to fight with life. With spirit, we can declare wholeness within life. Breathe in. Inhale, my peace is holy. Exhale, my presence is power. Inhale, my peace is holy. Exhale, my presence is power. You don't have to harden to hold boundaries. You only need to remember that you are holy enough to have them. This is divine law made visible, love moving in order, peace becoming form. And in that form, beloveds, you finally remember what freedom feels like. Put free in the chat. Does that feel quite easy? Let's practice your holy no. Inhale through your mouth. Oh, excuse me. Let's inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, long and steady. Now continue to breathe. Inhale. And as you exhale, we whisper no to distortion, no to chaos, no to depletion. Keep breathing. No to carrying what isn't yours. Each holy no is a cleansing breath, a quiet revolution in your nervous system. You're not rejecting others, you're remembering yourself. Now inhale, I am whole. Exhale, I release what's not mine. Inhale, I am whole. Exhale, I release what's not mine. When you say no to love, you restore balance to the entire. Let me say that again because I need to make sure I said that clearly. When you say no with love, not to love, when you say no with love, you restore balance to the entire ecosystem around you. Boundaries are where spirit and flesh meet, the visible structure of invisible love. They are how heaven finds form in the human nervous system. And if you want to learn more, that's what I'm here for. This is what it's about. So I just want to remind you that boundaries are spiritual law. Without edges, there is chaos. Can you imagine driving on a road with no boundaries? We feel so comfortable that we feel like the imaginary lines will protect us. Because let somebody almost look like they veering in your lane. The nervous system is reacting. We're like, what are you doing? We have to have edges and boundaries. We must have limits. Without edges, there is chaos. If there was no defining limit between night and day, chaos. When our breath is not synchronized, chaos. Boundaries don't limit love, they organize it. Every yes and no you speak is a small echo of creation saying, let there be light and let there be rest. Because as I talked about on day 3, order, divine law equals order of love. Survival equals law of fear. Boundaries reveal which law that you are obeying. Inhale, order. Exhale, chaos. Inhale, order. Exhale, chaos. So here's what the law of survival in the body looks like. So you can see it from the perspective of science, neuroscience, polyvagal theory, which is basically the study of the nervous system and how our nervous system is always protecting us by trying to detect fear or safety. The body always tells the truth of the law that you're living under. So as we look at this chart, no boundaries is when love leaks. It's not contained. It's chaotic. No boundaries mean the system stays in constant activation, your nervous system. So when you're not setting boundaries, you're setting yourself up to be always scanning for danger, for something going wrong, for the other shoe to drop, always over, not always, because we don't want to say always. Likely scanning, likely overgiving, proving. We might confuse self-abandonment with love. In the body, what happens is exhaustion, headaches, anxious stomach, tension in the shoulders. In the spirit, you cannot hear God clearly. God ain't went nowhere, but you didn't shut it down. You done locked it down so you can survive a relationship that you know you shouldn't have been in the first place. And you're innocent because your trauma is not your fault. It is your responsibility to heal. And when we are in survival, when we're not setting boundaries, every outside voice becomes louder than your own. When you have no boundaries, you mistake noise for guidance. God's whisper gets drowned in everyone else's expectations. Are you with me? So let me give you an example. If a superwoman who answers every call or text and does every favor before breathing, she prays for peace but says yes to chaos. Are you with me? Because I know I have done it. Like, God, please help me. God, please let me see. And then I felt like I couldn't be alone. And then I would ignore my intuition. I would ignore my knowing. I felt like I was unworthy. So I'm praying for peace, but I'm using my free will to say yes to chaos. If we feel needed but unseen, then that means we put it on a cape and we activate it. We doing what we think we need to do, tap dancing, got the script, pretending to be who people want us to be, trying to earn what we already are, which is worthy, which is love. Let's breathe it in. Inhale awareness. Exhale self abandonment. Again, breathe in. Inhale awareness. Exhale self abandonment. Again, inhale awareness. Exhale self abandonment. See here, using the language of nervous system. In a survival state, we're in a fawn response, which means we have no boundaries. The nervous system pattern, we call it dorsal vagal freeze or people pleasing. See, our states are related to our nervous system states. And so what do? Our boundary behavior is I'm fine. I don't want to start anything. I don't want anyone to be upset. And how do we feel in our body? Heavy chest, foggy head, tight throat. Survival state, fight or flight, which is fear led. It's called sympathetic activation, which means we're on guard. I said what I said. And don't nobody know how to say something like a Black woman, honey, because we say it with our whole full chest, with the eyes and the facial expressions and the tone, heat in the face, racing heart, shallow breath, fear, fear led. Ventral vagal, which is when we are regulated, spirit led. We can communicate with love. That doesn't work for me, but I love you. How does that feel in the body? Warmth in the chest, steady breath, grounded feet. Can you feel the difference? Inhale awareness. Exhale self abandonment. Yes. That is what it looks like. Now, let me show you, and we can certainly discuss more of this on tomorrow, on day 5. See, spirit led boundaries sounds like calm, concise, kind. Example, I can't take that call right now, but I'll reach out tomorrow. Do you feel the difference in your body? I'm not available for that conversation right now. Doesn't it's not meant to be mean. It's not meant to hurt. Boundaries are clear and kind because clear is kind. I love you and I need rest. It feels like breath steady, heart open, feet grounded, jaw relaxed. It looks like less explaining, more pausing, less guilt, more grace. And I mean it when I say less, because it's not about perfection. It's not about getting it right every time. There's no such thing. It's about honoring yourself, listening to your body, honoring your feelings, recognizing that your feelings are always valid, even when they're not always true. Spirit-led boundaries aren't about control, they're about clarity. And clarity is the language of peace. Inhale, peace. Exhale, proof seeking. Inhale, peace. Exhale, proof seeking. See, divine law responds to resonance, not resentment. So it's what you are resonating, what you are giving out, what your energy is. And when you hold boundaries from peace, your environment reorganizes itself. It must, because that's the law. Yes, breathe that in. And let's take a moment and simply honor ourselves for all that we've been through, for all the ways we've always been loved, even when it's been distorted, even when it was from fear. You've always been everything in love, even when you didn't know it. And we can honor the parts of us that have survived. And now we can choose to live by our divine design. So breathe with me, beloveds. Inhale, I am peace. And exhale, I am power. Again, inhale, I am peace. Exhale, I am power. Because boundaries were never meant to be separation. They were God teaching you how to hold the flame without burning yourself. So every no that you have spoken was not rejection, it's resurrection. The moment your nervous system said, I am safe to honor what is real. But this is not where the work ends. This is where the revolution begins. Because look around us. We already know, baby. Beloved, the world is burning. Systems are collapsing under the weight of their own lies. We see it. We called it. 92% of us been new. And the same institutions that told us to be strong, they now feed on our exhaustion. The same churches that preach salvation through suffering have forgotten liberation through love. We live in a world that profits from our trauma, from our silence, from our self-doubt, from our survival mode. The news cycles thrive on our fear. The beauty industry thrives on our shame. The labor market thrives on our exhaustion. They call it progress, but it's the same damn plantation with better branding. But liberation, this is the language of liberation. When we talk about alignment, we mean this. The moment you stop betraying what you know is true. When we say rest, we don't mean sleeping through life. We mean surrendering to the truth so fully that your body finally unclenches. She relaxed. She stops bracing for the next thing, for the shoe to drop. Rest, it's not quitting, it's remembrance. So when we say coherence, we mean your mind, your body, and your spirit are all speaking the same language. No more double consciousness. No more spiritual code switching. When we say divine law, we mean love, the order that cannot be legislated or colonized or co opted, the order that remembers who you are when the world forgets. That order has a name now. It's called Worthy Women. I call it this sanctuary of her, holy embodied remembrance. Oh no, she's not a brand. She is a body where love becomes structure again, a body where Black women remember what divinity feels like in flesh. This is the circle where strong Black women, we lay our armor down and we find out who we are. We find out that we are holy underneath it all. Because when the world profits from our exhaustion, rest becomes rebellion. When oppression depends on our silence, truth telling becomes liturgy. When isolation is the weapon, community becomes salvation. We do not gather to escape the world. This is not why we're here tonight. We gather to build it, to rebuild it. Because healing in a community, in this community, it's not a luxury. This is liberation. It's how the Divine Mother reclaims her daughters. This is a return to self and sisterhood. So, inside my community, this sanctuary, we don't perform wellness, we practice wholeness. This is why I created this 5-day intensive, because I knew I couldn't just tell you about it. I had to give it to you, I had to show you. I had to stand in the truth unapologetically, being the divine being that I am, that you are, because we learn in community, because we learn to communicate our needs without apology. We learn to rest without guilt. See, in my community, we learn to set boundaries without fear, because our boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges back to truth. And here, each breath is a sermon. Each no becomes a love letter to your nervous system. And when one woman rests, she rewrites the bloodline. When 1,000 rest together, oh, we recalibrate culture. That's what it's about. The revolution of remembrance is now. This is decolonization in real time. Because empire lives in the nervous system. It lives in the impulse to overperform, to overgive, to stay silent, to stay small. So every time you choose authenticity over performance, you dismantle. You dismantle everything. You dismantle empire, everything that is fear. Because every time you rest, you define the systems. You defy the systems that profit from your fatigue. Every time you love without fear, you end a generational war. Breathe. And you know it's true, you feel it. This is not self care. This is spiritual warfare fought with softness and truth. The revolution will not be televised. It will be regulated, embodied, and healed in the sanctuary of sisterhood. And so, my community, Worthy Woman, it's not a luxury, it's liberation. See, colonization thrives on isolation, and capitalism thrives on competition. But when women gather in remembrance, the illusion of separation breaks. And in that breaking, new neural, emotional, and spiritual realities become possible. Community is where your nervous system learns safety through belonging instead of fear, where your voice strengthens through reflection, not performance, where your softness becomes a weapon of peace, not a liability. Each woman's healing amplifies another, a chain reaction of resurrection. Oh, this resonance. It's not poetic, it's biological, it's energetic, it's divine. So, this is your invitation. You are not being asked to join something new. You are being invited to remember something ancient, a place where your voice matters, where your rest is respected, where your softness is not weakness, it's strategy. Worthy woman is where faith meets the nervous system and God meets you in your exhale. When you enter this circle, you're not signing up, you're returning home because love is the real revolution and community is how it becomes flesh. Breathe with me, beloved. Inhale, I am home. Exhale, I am worthy woman. Again, inhale, I am home. Exhale, I am worthy woman. As we breathe together, I offer you this closing affirmation. Bring your hands over your heart. Take one deep breath in and whisper, my boundaries are altars of love. Every no sanctifies my yes. Choosing myself is choosing God. My boundaries are altars of love. Breathe. Every no sanctifies my yes. Choosing myself is choosing God. Exhale slowly. Let that affirmation echo through every cell. And one final breath. Inhale, I am peace. Exhale, I am power. Inhale, I am peace. Exhale, I am power. You have remembered the geometry of love. You have chosen alignment over approval. This is what reclamation feels like. It's not a rebellion, but return. You, beloved, are the sanctuary now. I love you because I am you. Let us breathe. We'll drop the link in to Worthy Woman. I can tell you, I was so in the flow. I can tell you what you'll get, what it's all about. Let me put the link in the chat. Let me first unmute you. You can raise your hands for questions. Worthy Woman. Oh, I didn't say anything about it, huh? Worthy Woman is my community. It is, I just dropped the price just for you. It's normally $197 a month. And I know with everything that we're dealing with, baby, I know it's real out here. And so I dropped the price to $149. And also bi-weekly, you can pay $80. We are live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. and every other Thursday. You'll learn everything is on the site, but you'll learn everything from understanding somatic experiencing, which is how trauma is stored in the body and how to release it. You'll learn more about divine laws, setting boundaries, the relationship skills, which are skills of love, which I teach on Thursdays, which is every other Thursday. So you'll learn the skills which I included on the website, like self-trust, conflict resolution, emotional regulation, interdependence, all of the things that trauma stole. All of the things that we've been struggling with, those are skills of love. And so I also have, and I can show it if you have questions about it, but I record every class, as you can see. I have a course platform where we have worksheets and you can watch the videos. And yeah, we have replays. And so what you got, this was an introduction, something that I've never taught in this way before. And I don't repeat, baby, because when you're in tune with the divine, you always in the flow. And because spirit always gives, spirit nourishes, everything you get from me is always new. And there are people who've been with me for 5 years and they can tell you, we ain't never learned the same thing. So this is a reclamation. I'm here for you. I invite you into the community and I'm here to answer any questions. I hope to see some of you in class. Oh, and you can join for the first week for $7. You can try it out, feel the vibe. It's very similar to what you experienced here. The only difference is that everyone knows each other. So there's community, there's sisterhood. And when new women join, they're accepted into the sisterhood. It's like there is a recognition of love, of familiarity, of connection, because we are a reflection of one another. So I've talked enough. Are y'all still breathing in? Breathe. Breathe. God is here. Love is here.
Um, Cerita, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, thank you, thank you so much for, for teaching us this. Um, I just think it's interesting for me
Mm-hmm.
that when we talk about boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
you set your boundaries, like you said, in love,
Mm-hmm.
and because of what you were taught, and I know you talked about that part of it too, what we were taught growing up, from our community, from our mothers, from people around us. When you
Mm-hmm.
set boundaries, you tend to want to explain when you say no, lovingly, of course, and you have this guilt
You
feeling
can say
inside.
a part
I,
of
a,
me
a
feels
part of me,
guilty.
okay, a part
Mm-hmm.
of me have this guilt feeling inside,
Mm-hmm.
and then I want to go into explaining
Mm-hmm.
why I say no because of that, that guilt that
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and because I'm, I'm a people pleaser basically because
Mm-hmm. I
that's just
understand.
who I am.
I
That's just who
see.
I am.
And you're explaining now.
And exactly,
It's okay. It's okay.
you know, so it's something that I struggle with. There are times when I would say no lovingly, and
I
the
understand.
spirit would just tell me, "Shut up.
Okay.
You don't need to
Okay.
explain yourself."
Well, that's the truth. So, what's your question? Because you already just confirmed that you're already guided and you know what you know. So, what's your
Yes,
question
but
for me?
No, basically it's not really truly a question. It's just I'm just sharing what I feel when that
Mm-hmm.
happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I grow into setting my boundaries, like I said, I just shut when I say no, I just stop.
Okay. So
And what
yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
receive is somewhat different because when I say no and I go into explaining, I end up doing what I said no, what I
So,
said no to.
yes, that everything you just described are symptoms of trauma, that's survival. So,
Hmm.
because of trauma, you've learned self-sacrifice, you've learned to silence, you've learned to have boundaries, which are permeable, meaning, people sometimes you hold them, sometimes you don't. That guilt, that part of you, that guilt that you feel, that is a symptom of trauma. That is a learned response that keeps you in line because we've had to earn trauma, because we have to earn love, because love has been conditional. We've developed parts and patterns and strategies that keep us in line with earning love. That is what the healing process is about, is recognizing the patterns, being in relationship with you, and you being able to lead life from your divine self, from your higher self, and recognizing the parts of you that have been hurt or the parts of you that are protecting you from hurt. They can't lead, they can't guide. Because as I named in the last 3 days, the strategies, the way that you learned love is based on fear. And
Right.
so it's what I teach in my community, Worthy Woman, is how to be in relationship, how to lead from your higher self versus
Mm,
the strategies of trauma.
mm,
And
mm.
everything that you're saying, most of us here can identify with because that's why we're here. And
Yes.
again, your trauma is not your fault. It is your responsibility to heal. You already have the awareness. You've already started practicing setting boundaries. You're doing it. And
Mm.
it's about being in relationship with you and honoring the divine within. You said the divine in me tells me to shut up, and I keep talking, or I end up doing, and that is you dishonoring
Yes.
the divine instruction within you.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
you're unlearning that. That's why you're here. This is what the healing process is about. And so,
Mm.
because you recognize it, you can be compassionate with yourself. You can recognize the parts of you that want to explain or overgive. They just want to be loved. And it's your responsibility to love the parts of you that need love.
Yes.
Because working
Yes.
for love is not love, that is fear. So, as you
Amen.
learn to be in relationship with those parts, instead of letting them run your life or make decisions for you, that's what it means to live from yourself, being self led, the self that is divinely created, not the creations of trauma. I hope that helps.
And it does. Thank you so much.
You're
I
so
just have
very welcome.
I have one more question. Remember when I think it was the first night we came on, that lady that called in about her 14-year-old granddaughter?
Mm-hmm.
Are they okay? Is she back home? Do you know?
Thank you so much for remembering to ask and check in. Yes, we spoke that night right after class, and no, she hasn't been found yet. She did leave
Hmm.
on her own, and there was a history there. It wasn't the first time that she's run away, and
Okay.
so the family is so very hopeful, and they're doing everything that they can to make sure that she returns. And so your prayers are welcome, your thoughts, and thank you so much. Thank you for asking about her. That's love
Absolutely.
right there. That's love. I appreciate that. And I'm going
Yes.
to call her after class and let her know that you actually asked, and I'll check in.
Yes. Yes. I think about her and I keep her in my prayers as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Prayers are very much welcome. That is what sisterhood and community is all about. Any other questions? Did you learn anything? Did you have aha moments? Are you still processing? imagine a therapist teaching this? I can. And it's quite wonderful because I can tell you that healing gave me everything that I ever prayed for. Because I've learned that there wasn't anything blocking me from having a relationship with God. It was the survival. Nicole says, this was so necessary. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. I'm grateful. And I see the comment from Michelle, I'm processing. And that's okay. Breathe. As a matter of fact, let us take a couple deep breaths together. Breathe in through the nose. Oh, and exhale through the mouth. Breathe in. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Just let your nervous system know that you're safe. All is well. Did you learn anything new? Let me know how it's been watching the videos on YouTube. If you caught the replay, if you can read the slides, if it's helpful to have the slides on YouTube, just so I know if there's anything that I can tweak, if I need to maybe make instead of using black, which I love, but if I need to do anything to make it easier for you to just be able to take it all in, because that's what it's for. That's what I'm about. And I hope to see some of you in class on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time because we're just getting started. Well, I should say, in this intensive, you're just getting started. But I tell you, love, as you embody love, you change your reality and you change all of your relationships. Michelle says, yes, lots of new stuff. Okay. Well, I welcome testimonies. Y'all have been pretty quiet this entire intensive. And so I welcome any feedback or testimonies because I know what will happen as you continue to breathe, as you allow the unfolding to happen, you will have more insights. You will become more in tune with your intuition. You will recognize because if you're being still, then you can listen to the voice of God. However, God shows up for you or speaks to you or through you, you'll be able to not just recognize, but be in relationship because that's what it's about. I see Shakita says, watch day 3 on replay. The slides are good. I take screenshots for journaling prompts. I love it. And I will make sure to include some journaling prompts in the replay. This gave me insight on how to create boundaries and no barriers. Yes, I love it. Thank you, Nicole. That's what it's about. I'm so glad that you find the replays helpful. That's amazing. Okay. Well, I'm going to be producing more content on YouTube. And yeah, when I say revolution, I mean it. So thank you, Zoom user. If there's no other questions tonight, I love y'all. I'm grateful for you. I'll send out the links and the invite to Worthy Woman. Shakita says, I've been in the community and I can attest to the growth and transformation. The community is very interactive and we learn how to communicate in a way to request what we need. Thank you, Shakita. I love it. Thank you. Good night. I love you. Breathe, knowing that you are honoring the God within you. You are divine. I love you. And I will see you tomorrow, same place. Bring your questions because we process and we unpack and we having discussions. So be encouraged when you come tomorrow live. It's going down. I love you.